everybody, and welcome to episode 6 of the R Squared podcast here. We have Rahul Patel in the Seattle area, Tacoma, Washington area, and my name is Rob over here in the Cincinnati area here. Again, episode 6, R Squared podcast. Rahul, I see you've taken a big swig of potentially a beer there. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking the same stuff as last time, Men's Room Red. I got 2 more bottles to finish up, which I intend to do tonight during this podcast. So we'll see what happens. Speaking about
Men's Room
drinking,
Red.
yeah, Men's Room Red is a local brewery, and it's from a local talk radio show on a rock and roll station. And I've been listening to them since 2006, and they make a pretty good beer also.
Awesome. So I got a little half glass here of Glenfiddich. It is
Nice.
a Scotch from Scotland. So for your purists out there, I did put some ice on it. This is not a neat drink, but I have no water, no Sprite, no club soda, nothing like that. But this is Glenfiddich, product of Scotland. One of my favorite scotches, or scotch, however you put that down. But I did put some ice in there. So, Raul, kick it off. What were you going to say? Huh?
What year is it? I mean, is it a 12-year or what is it?
It's 12-year.
Okay.
Yes.
And before we kick it off, I want to show you a couple more things which I have acquired, but I haven't opened up yet. Okay. Can you see this? The Kirkins.
I can't read it from here with this this viewership I have.
Is the Kirkins Sweeney Rum XO? It's a 40 to 50-year-old rum. I got it.
Is that a product of Puerto Rico?
No, Dominican Republic actually.
Very cool.
My buddy bought it for me, and gave it to me yesterday, and I'll try it when he comes over, and hopefully the next few weeks, and we'll try it together. And I got 4 Seasons rum too, and a friend ordered it for me also, and so I got a lot of drinks I try, but I refuse to try them unless the person that bought them with me is here to try it with me.
There you go. That's why. There you go. So, what else? Do you have any other drinks there you want to show us?
I mean, I could spend all night showing my one of my favorite scotch right here. Royal Salute 21. It's made by the Chavez brothers.
Okay.
And I like Chavez brothers more than Johnny Walker now.
Okay.
Scotch wise. I do like Johnny Walker.
I kind of think Johnny Walker, the black and all that, a little bit overrated. I like some of the Glenfiddich and Chavez better. Rahul, have you had the blue label Johnny Walker before?
Yes, I actually have a bottle of that back here actually.
It's pretty hard to top that. That's pretty good. That's some of the best stuff there is. So how does Chavez compare to that?
Better.
Really? Okay, yes. Then I gotta get it.
And my favorite bang for the buck, Johnny Walker, has to be Jane Walker.
Jane Walker, huh?
Yes. They originally made it to come out during not this past, but the one before presidential election. If Hillary Clinton won the election, they were going to release it.
Okay.
For the first female president, but since she didn't win, they released a little bit later. But for $30, I don't think you can get a better scotch.
Yeah, if it's $30, you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, I mean, I thought Green Label was the best bang for a buck, but now it's Jane Walker in my opinion. So that's why.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, moving on, we will kind of discuss a few of the topics that are in the limelight here in the last week of July 2021, as far as the sports world is concerned. Our main focus, as you guys know, is the NFL, fantasy football, all of the above. But at this point in time, we're still in the early stages of training camp. We'll have more stories for you on training camp and the battles and things like that in upcoming podcasts. You know what else was a big popular sporting issue this week? A couple things with my second favorite sport here. Obviously, me and you are NFL guys. The NBA. So the NBA draft was held this past week in Brooklyn. Shout out to the Brooklyn Nets and the NBA to give a warm welcome to Terrence Clark and Terrence Clark's mother. For people who don't know, Terrence Clark was a 20-year-old, could have been 19 actually, 19-year-old freshman out of the University of Kentucky. Went to the draft pre-workout with his friend Brandon Boston in Los Angeles and died in a car accident in April of this past year. Well, they had the mother and sister come on stage and receive some hats and they gave some hugs and things like that. So shout out to the NBA draft for doing the right thing and supporting Terrence Clark and his family for doing that. For what could have been there. So with that being said, I love the NFL draft. I also love the NBA draft. It's such a great story to see a lot of these kids go from rags to riches, or even just middle class to riches here within a matter of seconds. Right? They work so hard. Elementary school, prep school, facing adversity. AAU obviously is dominating the scene these days, and then hear a name called, name and lights, and now you're a millionaire. But now you got to prove it, right? So it's to me, I love the spectacle of the event. But that being said, I want to talk about who I think is going to be a generational talent. So I honestly think number one pick every year is supposed to be a generational talent. So Cade Cunningham, first pick in the draft. Perkins there on ESPN says he is the best big man perimeter talent since LeBron James coming out of Oklahoma State. I don't agree with that 100%. I don't see the same strength, the same passing ability. Who is LeBron James? So I think Cade Cunningham, to me, he's not going to be a bust, guys. He will be a really good player. I just don't see him being, in that Tracy McGrady, Kobe Bryant, LeBron type atmosphere. I just don't see it. And he was consensus number one pick for a reason. I think this guy could get some all-star appearances. He'll take Detroit to the next level, and it'll be great for the city and for that state. I just don't. I think there will be kind of a cap on him, and I see two other players to me that look like generational talents, and I'm going to focus my attention on one of them more than the other. Second pick in the draft going to the Houston Rockets was Jalen Green. Now, if anybody's been listening and watching or even looking at our blogs, I like the pattern of a young guy moving from one place to another and dominating in both places before getting to the next level. Give you some examples in the NFL. Joe Burrow, Russell Wilson, right? And even Trey Lance, people like that have moved around, stuck with what they want to do, and I feel like they have dominated and they will dominate, right?
Right.
So Jalen Green comes out of high school, right? And these days and age, you can do that, but you can't go straight to the NBA draft. You have to go to the G League. So he went to the Ignite. This guy, if you look at the reels, he's 6'5", 6'6". He's got a monster body. His dunks are out of this world. He can defend. He can block shots. He can shoot. He's got the personality. He wants to be a star. If you saw the draft, you see how he's dressed. I think this will be a great wing in the NBA, and I predict that he'll have a better career than Cade Cunningham. Okay? However, when you look at it, the entire NBA is full of wings. That is the most drafted position these days. You want your squad full of 6'4", 6'5", 6'6", 6'7" players, right? Who are very athletic, can dunk out of this world, can shoot, can defend. The NBA is littered with them. Jalen Green will still be, in my opinion, an awesome talent, make as many all-star experiences as Cade Cunningham. or maybe more. But here's who I want to talk about. Okay. Evan Mobley. Evan Mobley, folks, in my opinion, flat out should have been the number one pick in the draft. Third pick in the draft. He went to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Not the greatest luck there, right? LeBron went there. LeBron's second greatest player of all time. Obviously, he made their team better. He got some bad luck going to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Evan Mobley, folks, 7'1", only 20 years old, can dribble the ball, cross people over one side of the court to the other. He can nail threes. He can block shots. He could post up. He could pass. He has got every single skill set there is. He is Kevin Durant 2.0 coming out of USC and San Diego, California. I truly believe we have Kevin Durant coming out again. It's only 20. And you saw a little glimpse of what he could do in the NCAA tournament. He started dominating a little bit. This guy is an absolute generational talent. And I really wasn't going to talk about him too much until I did more research on him. So Rahul, if you can, name some of the top centers, big guys, coming into the league in the last 10 years.
10 years. That's a good question.
So we got, let's go. So we'll say Joel Embiid out of Kansas. We got Karl Anthony Towns out of Kentucky. We've got a multitude of people, right? Anthony Davis out of the University of Kentucky. A lot of the foreign players. We've got a lot of 6'11", 7-footers, 7'1" guys who are cornerstones of their franchise. James Wiseman out of Memphis that went to the Golden State Warriors last year as well, right? When you look at the numbers, there are two people coming out of college that have numbers as far as block to rebound, block, and assist ratios that are off the charts, highest in history, that came out in the last 10 years coming out of college. Okay. And number one by far is Anthony Davis. Okay.
Good.
Number two, out of everybody, and that includes Joel Embiid, that includes Karl Anthony Towns, includes Darko, it includes all kinds of people, is Joel Embiid. Okay.
Wow.
Joel Embiid, number two. So I think you got second coming of Kevin Durant. He's going to absolutely dominate.
If that's true, that's gonna be awesome because I would love to see a generational talent that people say is at current Kevin Durant level. I mean, Anthony Davis could get there, but I still think he has a way to go. But if he's that good, I'd be very impressed.
Yeah, and then when you look at the Cleveland Cavs, you already have Darius Garland, you have Colin Sexton. There was some talk that they were going to draft Jalen Suggs and maybe another guard, but you could not pass on Evan Mobley. So you got a nice mix there. And who knows if Kevin Love comes back. A segue. Right. I don't know, Rahul. I don't know. Did you hear about what happened with Kevin Love?
I heard him passing, but I don't remember. I've been paying attention to some other things.
So yeah, Kevin Love. They said that he had great experience and time building USA men's basketball over the last 10 years. So obviously they picked him, even though he's been injured. Kevin Love called Coach Popovich, and a few others, saying, "Hey, best shape of my life." And he showed up to camp there in Las Vegas out of shape. He kind of did the Ben Roethlisberger on them. So he was not ready. They kicked him out. So that's actually what happened. That's what I just heard. I just heard on the on a podcast earlier today.
Did I know that? I knew it was part of the USA men's basketball, but I didn't hear that part. I mean, Ben Roethlisberger. I mean, but in NFL, you have a chance to play yourself into shape too. I don't know about NBA or USA basketball, but in NFL, you have a chance to play your way into shape, like Ben Roethlisberger does, and some other players.
Yeah. So when you think about it, if you are, if it's October, if there's no COVID, if this was a regular basketball season and you're not in the greatest shape in October, but you're deemed a star, yeah, you could play yourself into shape. But the thing is, this team was put together in June.
Mm,
The team was announced earlier than that, but really to kind of start practicing and everything was June, and it's the end
right.
of July, and they've already played a couple games and trying to get a medal. So there's nothing that Kevin Love could have done to be able
Right.
to help this team. But going back to Evan Mobley, generational talent. I think it's a good fit for the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're guard heavy. They do have Lance at power forward. They got Kevin Love if he does get into shape. But again, these are forwards, and you've got somebody that is listed as a center, but can shoot the three, can dish the ball, can block shots. He can do everything. He could play. Basically, he could play 2 through 5 in today's NBA.
Oh
Evan
wow.
Mobley. So cheers to the Cavs. Great pick. And mark my words, I think he's going to be either NBA Rookie of the Year or close to it. And we should follow up on this about a year from now.
Yep. Yeah. Keep an eye on it, and we'll keep an eye on him, and we'll talk to him when the NBA season starts again, and keep tabs on him. And hopefully he does well. We wish him the best.
Did you hear about this with Russell Westbrook?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so Russell Westbrook, coming out of DC, there got traded to the LA Lakers. Okay,
Okay.
on Friday night.
Okay.
Uh, so you got Russell Westbrook going to the Lakers. You got a new big three. You got LeBron. You got Russell Westbrook, Mr. Triple Double. You got Anthony Davis. The Lakers did give up Trez Harrell, right? Montrez, who signed a kind of a free agent deal to leave the Clippers to go to the Lakers there. They got rid of Kuzma there from uh, somewhere in Michigan he is from. I believe he's from wherever Draymond Green's from. So you got Kuzma, uh, Antrez, and I think Caldwell Pope. Caldwell Pope going to DC. And now the Lakers got 3 Hall of Famers in their starting lineup, which they've
Yeah.
done in the past. They did it with James Worthy, Magic Johnson, and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Here we go again. We got Russell
Yeah.
Westbrook, we got LeBron, and Anthony Davis. Now, here's the thing. What are they going to do? Are they odds-on favorite to win the championship coming in? I don't know. You just gave up a lot on your roster. So at this point in time, their biggest weakness is who the hell is going to shoot a three? So, not shoot a three. We know Russell's going to jack it up. He's going to jack it up. Unless he's improved his 3-point shooting efficiency. Yeah, that could be a lot of bricks there. But he's definitely going to dominate. It's Russell
Right.
Westbrook. He is a
Right.
physical, tough point guard or shooting guard, whatever you want to call him. He will out rebound anybody he's playing against. He'll out tough them. He'll out physical them. He'll play great defense, and he'll get to the bucket over and over and over again. If you have a healthy Anthony Davis, got a healthy LeBron next summer, and you got healthy Westbrook, you could put those three on the court with any other 2 NBA players, and I think they can make it to the Western Conference Finals.
I
So
agree.
depends on who goes around them. Right before we signed on to this podcast, I was looking that they're saying that DeMar DeRozan and potentially Carmelo Anthony are willing to take league minimums just to be on this team. So if somehow you still keep Caruso somehow, you might keep Wesley Matthews, uh, Taylor Horton Tucker. You keep some of this core. You got Westbrook, LeBron, Anthony Davis, and now you add a Carmelo Anthony. And I know it's not Carmelo from 10 years ago. He's still an efficient scorer. He should have been 6th man of the year. You got Carmelo Anthony, and if you get DeMar DeRozan, I think you guys should just end the season. I don't even think Brooklyn can keep up with that. So
That is
I
true.
think it'd be an exciting season. And I think if they do have the right pieces around LeBron, Davis, and Russell Westbrook, uh, the NBA is about to see pure domination out there, and it'll kind of be a cruise to the finals, in my opinion.
I mean, yeah, but but you saw injuries and you saw other things that happen, unfortunately. But on paper, that'll be
On
one.
paper,
They
yes,
they should dominate everybody.
they
So
should.
that's fine.
The
But I mean,
NBA to me is going to be very interesting because they're in a ripple effect. Rahul, tell me, was the NFL delayed? I think the NFL last year started right on time, right?
yeah, it's right in time. There's some games that were rescheduled because of COVID and all that stuff, but it started on time and ended on time.
Yeah,
Um,
okay. So with the NBA, if you remember, there was the bubble in 2020. So we are in out of ordinary circumstances right now in the NBA for 2 seasons in a row. So in the 2020 season, when everything hit, they were already well into the season, and the Players Association wanted to continue and play for the championship, so they went to the bubble. Raul, if you
yeah,
remember, that was finished in October 2020, and from there they only got a break from October to December. LeBron
right,
told the league, LeBron told the league that, hey, we need to start later. And he pushed it, pushed for it, pushed for it, pushed for it. And they did not listen to him. They wanted to make money, so they started on Christmas Day. So you got 2 months off, and then you played a whole season. So now you got an off year in the COVID year. You got an off year the next year because who starts a season in Christmas? And so now, usually the season ends in June. This
right,
season ended in July. Okay.
right,
Now they want the season to start normal time. You get one less month off. Plus, you got all these stars playing for the Olympic team, right?
right,
So you got Booker, you got all the Milwaukee guys, you got Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton. They're playing in the Olympics in Japan right now. So
right.
less rest. It'll be interesting to see. You've got Anthony Davis, who probably hasn't played any type of NBA basketball since like March or April. LeBron's been out. Russell Westbrook did not participate with the Olympic team. They have all kinds of rest. They have kinds of time for strategy. I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens with them. And also keep in mind, Kevin Durant is playing in Japan right now. So will that will that lead to any? I hope not. We never wish injury on anybody, but will that lead to anything happening this year to Kevin Durant?
That's true. I mean, he I hope he stays healthy because when he's healthy, he's fun to watch. He brings. There's certain players that no matter what team they're on or if they're playing a losing bad team or good team, they're just fun watching. Kevin Durant's one of those players.
Yeah, and I just think that they will dominate in the East pending injuries, but I think there's a little bit difference. Kyrie, Kevin Durant, two things they have in common. I know they're different players, different positions, different ages. They're a little thin. They're a
Yeah,
little thin. They're not the
yeah,
strongest guys in the world. Now, Kevin Durant talks like he is for sure, but LeBron and Russell Westbrook, those guys, those guys could play tight end in the NFL. Maybe. I'm not
yes,
going to go on that. I'm not going to go on that tangent. But they're that strong and that tough, so they can withstand some injuries and things like that. So I think it'll
yeah.
be very interesting.
And LeBron is becoming a smarter player and is doing stuff that doesn't take a toll on his body as he did when he's younger. So I think he will stay away from the injury bug like this year also.
Yep, we will see. We will see.
Yeah,
Moving on.
I agree. Moving on, one thing I would like to talk about is college football again. I I am an absolute fan by college football, but I want to talk about first topic I want to talk about is how is the how embarrassed the Big 12 should be with the reaction of Oklahoma and Texas leaving the Big 12 for SEC.
But what
I don't
what
know if you
happened, Raul?
read.
Tell us.
I don't know if you read, but as soon as they found out, the first thing Big 12 did was have a meeting and say we're willing to give Oklahoma and Texas more money if, if they stay and take away money from the other 8 teams. For those who don't know, the Big 12 has 10
Oh,
teams, and which I thought was a desperate move and was nail in coffin for Oklahoma and Texas to leave. Um, they should have been more thorough about it. They should have, instead of saying something mean, to say, "Hey, if you stay here," they should come up, got together with some and made a plan for long term of the conference. They should immediately contact Cincinnati, maybe even Arizona or Arizona State or some other schools to bring in the Big 12 and make the conference better. Instead, they tried to cannibalize their own conference in order to keep these two stalwarts or blue chips in the conference.
yeah,
So, I think they should leave for if the Big 12 will do that. So the Big 12 will eventually go by the wayside, and these schools will either join the Pac-12, the Big Ten, ACC, or the SEC, or form another conference, and you start having these mega conferences that SEC has started toward with at Oklahoma and Texas.
yeah.
Um,
So,
what
Raul,
do you
when you think
think?
about it, I think we talked about this on our last podcast, but just diving into it, I'm reading more stories this past week. I think there's a little bit more to it. I think that obviously a money-driven deal. And if
Exactly.
we're just talking about dollars and we're not talking about championships and who's going to reach the playoffs and things like that, at the end of the day, most adults are in it for their families to make money, right?
Agreed.
And yeah, we all want to have the right national champion. We want the greatest college football playoff that we can watch on television, everything like that. But it comes down to money.
Agreed.
The Big 12, obviously, Division One programs, great resource there in Texas, being the kind of the hub. Uh, it's enjoyable, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not the SEC. I mean, you've got LSU, Alabama, Florida, all these schools that are winning national championships, right? They're making what used to be the BCS. They're making the college football playoffs now. You got Georgia on the brink every other year. So you imagine if all these teams playing each other on these Saturday nights, right? The
Mm-hmm.
viewership for these is through the roof because these programs are household name programs. They're producing NFL talent, and the games and the skill level is through the roof. You
Right.
can't get the same thing when you have Texas wanting to play at Texas Tech or a Baylor versus Kansas game. It's just
I
not the
agree.
same thing. So when you have the two teams who, and by the way, Texas, like you said last week, they haven't dominated like they used to, but they're still a brand name. But when you have
But they are.
Oklahoma and go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just want to throw one thing out there. Texas is still ice until proven that they're still considered a mediocre team. I think I mean I think they're in the ranks of Michigan State, UCLA, Oregon State, Kentucky in football. I mean they have potential, but right now they're a mediocre team in my opinion.
Yeah, they are as far as talent is concerned at the moment. However, viewership, dollars and cents, that is what is important
Right.
for these big mega money deals. And when you talk about dollars and money on the table, Texas brings with it more dollars than almost any other program out there, maybe besides any Ohio State or Alabama. So
I agree.
you add that on a Saturday night. If you are ESPN and you want the most viewers, right? You are going to want a Texas versus LSU Saturday night football game in Baton Rouge, not
I agree.
waiting for potential playoffs.
I
So
agree, but the
there's
thing is,
nothing really the Big 12 could have done, I think.
true. But here's the question: is how long will the viewers watch that when LSU is demolishing Texas by 30 points every time they play each other?
I just
Uh,
don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to happen the next couple of years because the talent is in the SEC. But I think my opinion is Texas and Oklahoma is going to catch up. Nobody's going to do what Alabama's done in the last 10 years. That's an anomaly. Saban figured something out. Not sure what the hell even happened in the last 10 years. But when Saban kind of rides into the sunset, I think that you're going to have talent-rich programs: Texas, Oklahoma, LSU, Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, Florida, and these matchups are going to be insane on the weekends.
I agree. I hope you're right. Ultimately, if that happens, I'm all for it because I'm a college football fan and I want to see the best play the best.
Yeah. Again, I think you're right though. If you just look at the roster right now, if Texas, and that's why they're not joining until 2025, and it
I agree.
might be earlier. There might be some other side deals that come out where this actually happens in 24 or something like that. But
Right.
if they were to play next month, Texas would lose to Alabama by 6 touchdowns. They would lose to Florida by 3 or 4. They would
I
lose to
agree.
LSU by 2 or 3. It would happen.
And
Um,
the Oklahoma would lose by 2 or 3 also to Alabama, and maybe beat Florida, but lose, but Georgia. I think
Oklahoma's Oklahoma's my underdog pick for national champion this year. Spencer Rattler coming in. I think he's going to be the Heisman Trophy winner, and I think that the
maybe.
competition is going to be weak. They're going to get to the Final Four, and I think this is the best Oklahoma team, better than the Bradford teams. I think that you might just catch Alabama without their senior quarterback. You just might catch them this year, but you never know.
No, you're
What
right.
happens is if Alabama comes down to earth, guess what else happens, folks? You get an LSU with Joe Burrow, or you get a Georgia, or you get an Auburn with Cam Newton. So,
Right.
so just because if Alabama comes down to earth, I mean, you never know. And then you also have Ohio State, no matter what. And I know that's your squad there. So that's no guarantee. I really like. I think this is a different Oklahoma team. I they're my underdog pick for national champion coming up this year.
Since we talked about college football and you're saying talent and all that stuff, I would like to transition into one last topic of me, the NIL again. Because I was thinking, did you read the story about Quinn Evers, the Ohio State number one Ohio State quarterback for 2022 class? Did you read that story? Did you read that story by any chance?
I did not go ahead and tell us
Well,
this. What's going on with Quinn?
he was supposed to he was I believe the second best quarterback in the nation, 5-star recruit, second or actually might be number one quarterback. The only one recruit rated higher than them was Trevor Lawrence.
Okay.
So the plan was him going in 2022, but NIL, he only had to take one more class. He might come in 2021 because reportedly he'd sign an NIL and make at least $1 million during his college career using NIL. So it got me thinking: is if these players can make so much money in NIL, what's the college scholarship worth now? Because
Not
if I'm
much.
making million and a half, I can pay to go Alabama, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame, wherever, right? So that frees up even more scholarships. And before, maybe the 3-star would go Kentucky, or maybe Kentucky would get a 4-star from that would go to Ohio State just because there's more scholarship. Now Alabama, Ohio State could stack even more players
They
because
could.
they don't give the top 15 guys scholarships because they can pay themselves with the college the NIL.
So
So
what you're
the rich,
indicating there is that let's say you're a top player, let's say you're the number one recruit, and you're going to Alabama because of their history over the last 12, 13 years,
Right.
and you're already signing a $1 million deal with like a hamburger chain or something like that. Well, now if you receive the money, you still have the right to play for said football team, but you have to give up that scholarship. So now the scholarship floats down the line to somebody else. Is that what
Right.
you're saying there?
Yes, and,
Yeah.
let's make it a different one. Okay. Kentucky basketball. Kentucky basketball is usually a top team every year, right? They always have
Correct.
a top recruiting class. Okay, let's say me and you we're in 20s and we're good at basketball, right? And let's say you were the number one recruit in the nation, and I was your friend. And with the NIL deal, you can sign with Kentucky, and you can say, hey, I'll come to Kentucky if you sign Rahul to a scholarship, since he most likely won't get as much of a big NIL deal, and he'll need help getting through college, but he's a strong player and will help out the team. What's going to prevent that from happening now? Because if you want to bring a buddy or someone to college, what's there to prevent that now if you're a 5-star recruit in basketball or football? You make these deals under the table. Okay, I'll come to school if you sign this guy or sign this guy to a scholarship.
Yeah, the NCAA has got an issue on their hands, and they have to be able to kind of come together and make some rules and make it public. I think the one thing that could really, you know, this is stating the obvious, but they could really crush them is what if some of these super conferences just to totally say, hey, screw the NCAA. We're abandoning the NCAA. We're just going to play each other. We're still going to get the TV rights because we're going to force our hand. Players are still going to come to our schools because look at our history. We don't even want to be part of the NCAA anymore. You want to limit the amount of scholarships we give out? Well, we're not part of the NCAA anymore. There's all kinds of things that can happen now, and the NCAA better be careful because if you're not abiding by what these players want, then you might lose full conferences coming up in the next few years.
And that has been a rumor ever since, I don't know, ever since the BCS about these about you having 4 16-team super conferences break away from NCAA and do their own thing. I
Yeah,
mean, because I mean, you're gonna be a Kentucky fan no matter what conference you go to because you're a Kentucky fan, right? And
that's
I'm an Ohio
correct.
State fan, and most likely that. So as long as we're paying money for their apparel, for the games, for whatever, they can do whatever they want. And maybe it might it's time for NCAA to wake up and treat this like a for-profit entity and stop this whole charade of these are amateur athletes. I mean,
Yeah,
I understand maybe in certain sports like um like rugby or some or
volleyball, anything
volleyball.
like
Yeah,
that.
that's fine. I mean, these other sports, but the sports that bring in money, let them function. It'll be better for everybody, and I think capitalism will rule, and everything will even out, and everything will work its way out, and everyone will be more happier at the end.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stories going on right now. The NCAA has a lot of issues on their hands. I think in football they're clinging to the fact that there is no minor leagues, there is no G League or anything like that. So they think they have a grip on all of these universities and things like that, but they better be careful because these universities, they have the millions, they have the billions, and they can't step away. Now, college
Right.
basketball, real quick, to go off a little bit on that, I think college basketball is in big trouble coming up. And as far as viewership is concerned, what's helped college basketball in the last 20 years is since 2006 was the reverse of the rule that the top high school talent coming out of AAU and things like that still had to go to college at least 1 year. That was the year. That was the rule. They didn't really have to go to college. They had to step away for a year.
Right.
Um, but now with the G League
Mm-hmm.
and so many good high school players going there for a year, dominating, getting, you know, they're having their own tournaments, games being televised. The
Mm-hmm.
top talent, my prediction, the top talent in high school, basically 3, 4, 5 years from now, will really literally have no reason to go to college. There'll be no reason for the McDonald's All Americans to go to North Carolina, Kentucky, or Duke or
I
Kansas.
agree. I agree. I mean, NFL has the same rule that you got to be 3 years out of high school before signing with the NFL team. But NFL players, I mean, out of high school, they'll get crushed in the NFL. While
Yeah,
college
and
players,
then what are you going to do for 3 years to have any game tape? Right? What are you going to do for 3 years?
exactly. But but you're right. I mean, college basketball better be careful, or else it will just it'll fade away into into a sport they could have been, and into like volleyball. I mean, if you're a hardcore fan, will watch it, but casual fans will lose the casual fans that just watch it because there's nothing else on at that time.
Yeah, I think you're still going to have college basketball, but there's always so many people that can make the G League. But with all the highlights coming on Instagram and YouTube and things like that of the top talent, they're going to be going to the G League. So yeah,
Especially
the
the
NIL.
NIL, if you can go
Right.
sign $1 million contract, why? Right?
And maybe that's the reason why they did allow that. Maybe they saw that coming up on the horizon that, hey, if we don't
Yeah.
somehow figure out a way to pay these folks, we're not going to have these couple of sports that produce 99% of the revenue for college
Yeah.
athletics. But let's face it, uh, the bowl games, the gigantic college football games, the NCAA tournament, that's where the NCAA makes money. They don't make money off of
Right.
the rugby games or the volleyball or
Yeah. Football and
tennis
basketball.
or cross country. Yeah, football and basketball.
Yeah, but I mean, I remember I went to Cincinnati and and all the money after Cincinnati basketball made all the money after they paid the expense of the athletic department. They used the money to pay for other sports and other things on campus.
Makes sense. And that
Yeah,
and that and they're not alone with that. All the other schools are like that too as well.
yeah. So I mean, yeah, but it's been fun to watch, and hopefully they look at all their options and make some wise decisions. So we can be talking about college basketball, college football for the next 100 years again.
Yep. So folks, moving on for next couple podcasts, be ready to be watching out for our picks for top wide receivers, top quarterbacks, top running backs, top rookies, and predictions for the NFL season, all in the next few podcasts coming up. But for now, a year and a half into the pandemic, we're fighting strong and we're ready for the NFL season. This is the R Squared podcast signing off.